Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and listen, if you're looking for an aftermarket hood for your 2019 and newer Ram 1500 that will pack equal parts functionality and style, well then the SSK style Ram Air hood that we have here today might just be the option for you. Now this hood is going to combine Ram Air functionality thanks to the scoop front and center here, while the functional heat extractors will help pull hot engine bay air out while cruising. Now the hood is going to be made from a lightweight fiberglass and resin blend. Obviously will ship unpainted, as you can see right here, and is backed by a 90-day warranty, offer right around that $1,100 to $1,200 price point. So this is what is called a Ram Air style hood, meaning it's going to help direct air from the forward-facing scoop right here front and center down through a little channeling into the airbox through the incorporated design. Now, in my opinion, with that in place, this is going to be great for guys out there running what is called like an open element style filter, such as a JLT or a KNN, as that air is going to be directed right down onto the filter itself, delivering that fresh, cool air you want for maximum performance. Now, on top of the Ram Air aspect, this hood does also incorporate a couple of these TRX style vents here towards the sides, which will act as functional heat extractors. The goal, of course, help pull that hot engine bay air out while cruising, lowering your underhood temperatures in the process, which, let's face it again, is never a bad thing. Heat soak is the enemy of performance, and if you can keep things cool overall, the truck will be much happier at the end of the day. So again, you are getting equal parts function and form here with the SSK style option. And speaking of form, we can't forget to mention the awesome styling of the slight cowl here towards the Ram Air portion in the middle, paired with those vents on the side. Certainly contributes to a much more aggressive look for your 5th gen truck out there. A little bit of that TRX styling going on, but again, with some functional aspects. Moving into construction here, and the hood itself has been made from a combination of lightweight fiberglass, which is reinforced with a resin for added strength, and is going to be finished in this white gel coat, which, by the way, is ready for paint. Obviously is going to need a little bit of prep work before you start spraying it, but it will ship unpainted. So that is something that you will need to factor into the final cost of the project for this particular option. Now, speaking of price, coming in at or around that $1,100 to $1,200 ballpark here, the SSK style hood is going to be, I would say, kind of middle of the pack on the site in regards to aftermarket hoods, at least at the time of this video. Now, for instance, there is going to be an SRT style for your Ram. It's going to come in a bit lower than this particular option, but then you have something like a TRX style that will come in a bit higher. So again, end of the day, just feel free to check out the rest of our selection here at AT, get a good kind of idea of what your budget looks like, and please do not forget to factor in the cost of adding paint to the hood, because that is going to contribute a few $100 to a couple $100 depending on your situation and depending on if you have a paint hookup or not. All right guys, moving into our install here, and the hood will mount using the factory location and latch, which is included, by the way. Your striker's all there. Nothing really crazy needed to transfer over when it comes time for the install. Because of that, the site's gonna go strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you at least 20 minutes to complete from start to finish. Now, I will say strong in this case because the hood is a bit big, it's a bit bulky, it's not necessarily heavy, but an extra set of hands would certainly help when lowering this thing into place, making sure you don't scratch up that fresh paint job. Now, to give you a better idea of just kind of how this will go down on your Ram at home, here is an AT customer to walk you through the job. Check it out.
Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a hood on a 2019 Ram 1500. To do this, you'll need the following tools: a ratchet with a 13 and a 14 millimeter socket, a flathead screwdriver, a pair of pliers, and a second set of hands if you got them. Let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is remove this insulation. To do this, they have clips throughout the whole hood. You'll need a pair of pliers and a flathead screwdriver to get them clips out. Me, I don't plan on saving this insulation, and I don't need the clips. So what I did, I just pulled it out. It pulls out pretty easy because those clips are almost impossible to take out without breaking them. But on your new hood, especially if it's fiberglass, like the one that I got, you're not going to need the insulation. So the best thing to do is just to pull it out. And that's what I did. Saves you a lot of time. Now the reason why you need to remove it is because you have to get to your washer fluid line, because we have to take this off of the hood. Your first clip right here, you might struggle a little bit taking it out, but you pull hard enough, it'll come out without breaking. And then the rest of them are just on little clips like that. And then where it goes into your hood to your washer nozzle, you just pull that hose out of the nozzle. And then once you take your hood off, you can take the nozzle off your hood. Okay, next thing, you're gonna need your 13mm socket with your ratchet. And we have 2 bolts on each side of the hood that we're going to take off. But right now, all I'm doing is taking off the top one. And then I'm gonna go to the other side and take that top one off as well. And I'll show you the reason why. Okay, so now I'm gonna start on the bottom ones. Now, whenever you start on the bottom ones, the hood is gonna wanna start to lean. So I'm gonna get this one completely off. And then since I don't have a second pair of hands, which I recommend you do, I'm gonna use a stick to prop up the hood so it don't fall forward. So now I can take off the bottom ones. Now the reason I save those for last is because once you start to take off the bottom ones, the hood is going to want to start to tilt. So with your old hood, if you don't plan on keeping it, I would say that it don't really matter. You can do it by yourself. I'm going to use a stick to prop up the hood. With your new hood, on the other hand, I highly recommend you having a second pair of hands. You don't want to scratch it. So this is my old hood, so I'm just going to do it by myself right now. So before I prop the hood off, I'm gonna take this nut off all the way. When you get the nut loose enough, it would probably be best to put your hand on the back of it to hold it down, and that'll keep the nut from getting in a bind. There we go. Now I'm gonna put a stick up, and then I'm gonna take the other nut off. So see how the hood is staying? If I didn't have that stick right there, it'd be wanting to do this. So now, very carefully, I'm gonna get in the front, take off the stick, and then kind of wiggle the hood off. Just be careful not to hurt the rest of your truck. That's why it's good to have a second person. Now, let's put the new hood on. I do not recommend you doing this by yourself. Me, I'm too impatient. I don't feel like waiting on my wife to get home, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use my stick. But I recommend you use another person. Trust me. let's get the bolts in. Okay, so now for these bolts, I had to switch to my 14mm socket. Okay, now that I carefully got one started, I'm gonna go get one started on the other side. All right, so I got one started on each side. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put in the other two, but don't tighten them yet. And what you'll have to do is push down on that back end to get that back hole lined up. All right, to the other side. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the stick off. I'm gonna lower the hood and make sure both of the edges are even on both sides. Because if they're not, before you go to tighten your bolts, you can move the hood back and forth to whichever way it needs to go. So let's take the stick off. All right, so I'm not gonna be able to show you how to put it all back together because my nozzle clips broke as I was taking them out. So I gotta buy a new more. They're about $22 for a pack of two. But this little clip here, you had a hole in your previous hood. This one here does not come with a hole. So what you'll do is you get you a drill bit and you find a drill bit that's about the same size as the centerpiece on this clip, and you'll put your small hole right there. That way your clip would just pop on in. I'm not gonna do it right now because I'm gonna wait till I buy me some new nozzles. But anyway, once you get that in, you'll put your tubes back through the hole where they came out of, put your nozzle back on, and there you go.
All right, guys, wrapping this one up here again. If you're looking to make a drastic change to the front end of that 2019 and newer Ram at home that will pack both functionality and styling, be sure to consider the SSK option Ram Air Hood right here at AmericanTrucks.com.